All right, it is America's toughest immigration law of any state, but the Obama administration says that Alabama's new law is too tough. And now the Justice Department sending two of its top people south to investigate. Cully Stimson's a senior legal fellow, Heritage Foundation, a former prosecutor. He supports the law. Cully, good morning to you.
Hi, Bill.
Michael Wilds, immigration attorney, former federal prosecutor. He's against it. And Michael, welcome back here. It's been some time. Cully, the feds say the rights there of immigrants in Alabama are being trampled. They've got the evidence to prove it. What do you say?
Well, we don't know exactly how the law is being implemented, but the fact of the matter is the Obama administration has a losing record before the Supreme Court in suing states on immigration matters. For example, the Arizona law earlier this spring, the Supreme Court came down with a decision, Whiting versus Chamber of Commerce, that allowed the state's law a mandatory use of E-Verify and punishing business who knowingly hire illegals by stripping their business licenses. Those provisions were upheld by the Supreme Court. Alabama has those two provisions in their law and some others that a federal judge has temporarily upheld. And so I think the administration is frustrated that states are allowed to play in the immigration context, but they are allowed. The Supreme Court has said so, and the federal law has said so.
Here is what the feds have always said, Michael. I'll get you to jump in here. The feds say it's our job to enforce immigration laws and not the states. That was the original case they made when Arizona passed its law. He says the states are only making things worse.
No doubt.
How so if they're only trying to enforce their own laws locally?
No doubt. I think the states are well-intended and that they want, in the absence of any real moxie or action in Washington, to take the law into their own hands and make sure that we protect our borders and we make sure that Americans have a leg up in this very difficult economy. But simply put, immigration is a federal matter. It belongs in the hands of the federal government. And the unintended consequences of this new law in Alabama is the most severest that we've seen. If you are effectively driving a carpool and there's a child in there that's illegal, you can be arrested. Now, it is a crime to illegally enter the United States, as we see on the photo on your television. But the ongoing maintenance of your status in America is technically not criminal. Yes, immigration requires you to carry documents to show you're lawfully here. But the forensics and the resources that police authorities have is way less on point and
so you are making the argument that we have heard from people from Washington since this debate began. Cully, is he right that it's Washington's job, and if it's Washington's job, the states don't have a say?
Respectfully, no. Michael's not entirely right on that. The federal immigration statute, the key one here at play, in fact, it requires, it contemplates states and localities playing in the enforcement role.
That's a supporting role. Cully, that's a supporting role only. It's a federal mandate immigration.
It's a semantic difference. It's a distinction without a difference, quite frankly.
But if Washington's not doing it,
hang on, Michael. Let's Cully finish.
Many of these questions that are before the Federal Circuit Court now have never been answered by the Supreme Court. And what the states are doing when they craft these laws carefully, and this one is crafted carefully, is passing laws that are consistent with federal law, not preempting federal law. And as long as they stay in that lane, then they're in safe ground.
The Supreme Court will decide this. Michael, you agree with that ultimately?
The Supreme
For all
Court,
these states, whether it's Alabama, South Carolina, or Arizona?
What you don't want to have here, Bill, is a patchwork of enforcement where we have, because of the different commerce and interest between the Gulf states, between the farm belts and the urban and suburban areas, different immigration enforcements. You don't want to have police enforcing federal immigration law because they don't have the forensic ability to do this.
That's what they're doing now in a lot of these states. By the way, Alabama, you can arrest anyone you suspect of being illegal during a routine traffic stop, similar to Arizona. Make it a crime to transport an illegal immigrant if they're just in your car.
Completely wrong,
and
Bill.
requires schools to report the immigration status of its students, and that's what the feds are jumping
I disagree
Michael,
with
I
the
wish
other
I could give you more
still.
time, but that's what they're doing in Alabama. We'll bring you both back and continue our debate, okay? Cully, thanks to you as well. Thank you, gentlemen.
Sure thing.
Arthur.